All right, guys, hello and welcome back. It's been a while. Today is a glorious day. It is finally snowing here in Minnesota. As you can tell, we've got some snow on the lakes. Not enough to ride snowmobile in my opinion, but it is starting to come down a little bit harder, which is awesome. Anyways, that's not what we're going to talk about here today. We're going to talk about the Eskimo Eskape 2600. Like you guys have seen earlier in this channel, I purchased it. I got it all set up and ready to go, and I've had some time to use it both for ice fishing and spearing. And let me just say, I'm impressed. As you can tell, I have been pulling this out with my four-wheeler for the longest time now, because I did pull it like half a mile across the lake once, and it's a hog and a half, I'll put it that way. Even with the high-fax runners under it, it takes some of the weight off, but like I said, it's still a heavy sled to pull out. I think the base weight was like 125 pounds. I'd have to go back and look, but I'm estimating I got close to 200 pounds worth of gear in here, and it's not fun pulling it across the lake, especially when there's snow on it. Not fun. So I've been pulling it with my ATV. If we get a lot more snow, I'll be swapping to the snowmobile, as I do have that tow bar, which is it's nice because you can use this one as it can be just a pin that you can slide through, or you can set it around the ball hitch of your ATV. Makes it really easy for portability. So with that being said, we're going to set it up. I'm going to go through a little bit of the pros and a few of the cons that I've noticed throughout my time using this. Oh, and I recommend, if you're pulling it with an ATV, get a cover. It really does help.
Bang, bang, bang. Baby, cock the Glock and then...
All right, just like that, we have the fish house set up. Now, like I said, there are some pros and cons to this. With this being a taller house like most modern flip overs are, and with it being a wider one, setting up with one person a little bit more difficult than doing it with two people. However, it's set up and ready to go. So one thing I do like, and like I said, most of your new flip overs are going to come with the side doors instead of front entry doors. Now this is nice because when I get into my house and I get set up and ready to go, all I do is I put my heater right up at the front, and then if I ever need to step out, it's just stepping out over the side. I never have to climb over my lines or climb over my heater or whatnot. So that's pretty handy. The other thing that I've noticed with these, with the Eskimo at least, and I'm not sure about the other lakes, these windows are removable. So if you end up puncturing a hole, I'm guessing you would be able to order a new window from Eskimo. I'm not 100% sure, but that is a pretty handy feature that I've noticed on this ice house. Now, like I said, the other thing I've noticed is these fish houses are tall. I am 6 foot, and I can stand up in here perfectly. I got plenty of room. I can even walk to most of the front, and I just start touching about 3/4 of the way up. So very spacious, very nice fish house. The other thing I have noticed, now this is compared to my clam fish house, my clam hub that I had, was the stitching on the fabric. Now you can't really see the stitch marks on the outside, besides the big stitch marks obviously, but on the inside, when you shut all the windows, and it could be, you know, bright as day outside, it's very dark on the inside, which is nice. That's why I used it for spearing the other day. Now, as I was saying, this fish house does have a very spacious interior. These bucket seats, I think is what they call them. Well, I shouldn't say bucket seats. They're going to be captain's chairs, are actually very comfortable. You know, you get all day comfort with these things. I sat in here for, I think, 11 hours the other day trying to get some fish. We ended up catching a few, whatever, doesn't really matter. But there is plenty of room ahead of you where you do not run out. Now, if you're asking, how well does this hold up in the wind? Well, I'll tell you. So, like I said, the other day, it was very windy outside. It was, I think it was like 20 to 25 with like 30 gusts. And I was not expecting that. I was expecting it to be a little bit windy in the morning when we set up and whatnot. But after that, it got very windy, and it stayed windy all throughout the day. And this fish house, now I always install the spreader poles just because it makes it easier and it makes it taller a little bit. I always install the spreader poles, and I will say that I am very impressed with how well this thing held up in that wind. You know, we banked it very well around the sides with this flap here. You know, we put snow and we put some slush on top of it to freeze it down a little bit, and it stayed very warm. It stayed actually too warm in there, so we ended up cracking the windows a couple times. But in the wind, this thing will hold up on you. It will not tip over, will not collapse. Now, I will say that wind was strong enough that it could move the sled with both of us sitting in it, because that's how windy it was, and we were kind of on glare ice anyways. So, like I said, this is a very good fish house if you're going to be setting it up in the wind. Spreader poles are a must in my opinion. I wouldn't set it up without it. So the fish house does feature 6 windows? Yeah, 6 windows. Had to count. All right, it does feature 6 windows, 2 at the front, 4 on the sides. The triangle windows are actually kind of nice, but you can see just how dark it gets in here. Now, you have essentially turned this into a makeshift dark house. Now, obviously, you're gonna have to bank the sides and kind of keep it from creeping in up front, but it stays very dark in here. So the other thing you're probably wondering is this fish house too big for one person? Now, generally, I go out fishing by myself, and I wanted a bigger house. That way I could always take somebody with me if I wanted to, or if I wanted to go spearing, I could cut a decently large hole in it. And I will say, it's on the bigger side for one person. Now, this is, like I said, the Escape 2600. They do have 3 other models in the, well, technically 4 other models, I guess you could say. They got the Eskimo Wide 1. That one's actually really neat. I might consider picking that up next year for early ice. They have the Eskimo Escape 2000, the 2400, the 2600, which is this one, like I said, and they have the 2800, which is the big brother to this. Now, I did not opt for the 2800. I felt like that was just a little bit too big for what I needed. For 2 people, I think this is about the ideal size. I mean, like I said, it's got very spacious room in here. You don't feel like you're crammed. These seats are nice. I've even added the rear seat storage on this seat here, which is pretty handy. I just throw my gloves in here and a few other miscellaneous items when I get out to the lake and I get all set up. So that's a plus. Now, we have also installed the E-hub clips throughout the fish house, so that way I can mount accessories. I mean, I got a rattle reel that sits up front for spearing, which is nice because you drop your decoy down with it. We got hooks all along the back to hang up jackets, very nice as well. And even sitting in here right now without a heater, I'm warm, like I'm comfortable. I could probably take my sweatshirt or my jacket off if I wanted to. Once you put that heater in here, you'll get cooked out most of the time. Like I got the Big Buddy, and I leave it on, most times it's on low. And that's how warm it is. So if you're worried about, you know, is this fish house going to be cold in the winter? No, I've been out in -7, and I've had at that time I ran the heater on medium, which is high for the little buddy, and I still stayed very warm. As far as setup goes, these square poles, they might throw you off a little bit. They're nice, I like them. I don't know if I would prefer the round poles more or not yet. I haven't tried a flip over with round poles recently, so I couldn't tell you on that one. We've installed lights that run down, just connect to the battery. That way I can just come in here and turn my lights on whenever I want. Now, another cool thing about this fish house that I like is how these seats are kind of designed. So they fold down, obviously, but then they can also fold back and hang on these hooks. So when you're fishing by yourself, you don't need to have both seats down. You can have one open and have complete access to all your gear. We've got the ice saw, we've got the auger, we've got a bucket for our fish, we got the heater in the back. Now I did add this battery tray right here. I will say that's probably the worth. It's very well worth the $25 I put into it. At the end of the day, you guys are probably wondering, should you buy this fish house? Are there better options out there? Yeah, probably, but you got to do some searching. So between the three big ones, otter, clam, and Eskimo, the main reason why I went with the Eskimo was, one, it was a little bit cheaper on price, and two, it was red. Now, Eskimo back in the years used to be green and whatnot. The only reason why I went with red is because I do a lot of fishing at night, and if I'm out on the lake in a blackfish house, it's gonna be much harder to see. So I figured with the red one, somebody would be able to see me a lot better, and I wouldn't have the risk for an accident is much less. Not saying that there would be, but just saying. So now this fish house, I believe, comes in at retail. I thought it was $900. I believe. Maybe it was $800. I don't know. But I would wait and maybe try and find a sale on it. I know I picked mine up for like $7.50 from Shields, so I got a few bucks off, which did help. All in all, with all my accessories, and you know, the tow bar, the rear seat storage, the extra hooks and extra clips, and a few other miscellaneous items that I know I'm missing, I'm about $1,100 into this fish house. Obviously, you can find, you know, cheaper fish houses out there. And one thing I would recommend, if you're just getting into fishing, I would just try and find something off Facebook Marketplace. That way you can save a few bucks, and you know, if you find something in good condition, great. Otherwise, you know, if you find something and you know, you get a couple holes in it, you're probably not out too much. Now, if I got a hole in this one, I'd be a little upsetty spaghetti. However, it is a great fish house. I would definitely recommend it to anybody that wants to get into fishing or wants to buy a flip over. Like I said, I came from a hub that was 5-sided, so it was a pentagon. It was pretty big and way big, almost too big for one person because of how much setup it is. Even then, those have gotten really easy over the years, so it's pretty nice to see that. But at the end of the day, this fish house suits my needs. Obviously, you're going to buy a fish house that suits your needs. I'm not here to persuade you to buy Eskimo. I personally don't care what you buy. I'm here essentially to give you information and give you more in-depth look before you buy it, because they might not always have one of these set up at the store. I know I had to go to Shields. I was down in Eden Prairie at the time to look at the 2400 I thought about buying, and I sat in it, and it was just, it felt too small. Now that one did have a bench seat instead of the two captain's chairs, so that could have been a factor in it as well. Am I a little biased because this is my second fish house and I like the color red? Maybe, but I would still, at the end of the day, go out and buy a clam or buy a otter and do a review on it, you know, or even use it for a whole season and see how much I like it. So with that said, I hope it keeps snowing. It looks like it stopped for a little bit. However, we're going to shift directions, and next video that comes out, I don't know when that will be, we're going to be talking about either a four-wheeler or a snowmobile, which one you should choose for ice fishing, or we're going to be looking at the new Eskimo ice auger that I've been using recently. Now, I will say, very impressed with that as well. A lot of torque behind it, I will just say that. So with that said, thank you guys for watching, and thank you for staying. If you like this video, please drop a like. Drop a comment too, what your favorite part about the video is, or drop a comment about, you know, whatever you want. I don't care. Drop a comment, hit the like button, follow and subscribe for more.